Okay, we have the recording started. We're going to take a look at the different ways that you can take videos so that you can um, look at your form or have somebody else look at it. What do you want to look for when you're looking at a form? So that's what we're going to cover today. My name is Roy Canterbury. I'm going to be your host down Archery Talk 101, and we're going to talk about best ways to take your videos as well as um, the angles that you want to look at, what you're looking for. So remember, you can watch this video in the Arch Talk 101 Facebook group, as well as you can watch it on my YouTube channel, Learn to Fix It Yourself. The podcast videos come out twice a week. In the group, they come out as we record them. And on my YouTube channel, they come out on Tuesdays and Saturdays. You can also listen to the audio part of it on places like Spotify and a few other places. You can also go out to Audible and you can listen to it live there, free. You don't have to pay anything. It's a free podcast out there. And those come out as well on Fridays and Saturdays is when the Audible comes out, the audio version of it. So let's get into one of the reasons why you want to take a video. It's hard to know what you're doing or have somebody else look at what you're doing it live. When I first started teaching, we had VCRs is the best you had, and playing them back, you couldn't really slow motion, you couldn't stop them, you couldn't advance through them. There's so many advantages now over taking the old VCRs, and uh, that was what we had. So most of the time we were teaching by watching what you're doing. So you have to shoot, and like if I'm watching your hand, what your hand is doing, you've got to shoot, and I'm concentrating on the hand, and then you're going to shoot some more, until we finally, see what it is that you're doing. The same thing with your release hand. We're going to be watching that. What are you doing with that? Where are you anchoring? The whole process. Are you drawing back? Are you lined up? All that is a little more difficult to do when you're watching it live. Taking videos is a very good training aid, even if you're trying to do this without a coach, which not recommended, but you can do it if you know what you're looking for. Like I've been teaching for quite a while, since 95 I've been instructor. So I've been teaching and I know what to look for in a video. So I can video myself and say, okay, that's not what I teach. Why am I doing that? And be open to it. So one of the things you do when you take your videos, you want to be open to, any critique. Uh, we're out here to help you. If you want to take a video and upload it to the Arch Talk 101 Facebook group, we'll take a look at it and give you pointers. We may, we may give you big changes to make. We may give you little tweaks. It depends on, what your firm looks like and what you're trying to get out of it. And then we can also go through and look at if you have, a physical uh, challenge in what you're doing. You know, if you have, a hand you can't do something with it, or something, or any physical thing, we're going to change it. Now, the way I teach is the way I do it, and I've learned it from when I took it back in 95 from the NFAA on how to shoot from there. And then many years of martial arts, I've kind of combined the two of them to give me the way I teach. I also teach you why I'm telling you to do something. If I tell you to do something, I'm going to also tell you why, so that you understand why you're doing it that way. I teach everybody the same way, and then we start modifying based on how you do it. So it's a personalized thing, and you want to make sure that when you get ready to do that, you have a coach that is going to look at, not only how is the standard way doing it, but how do we have to modify it for your different situation. So that's something you want to look at when you get ready to um, do this, is you want to make sure that you have uh, somebody that's going to take a look at what's going on. So let me see if I can. I've kind of changed things on Zoom a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and share a video that I created, and on here I go through different forms you want to shoot. So let me go ahead and get this started. Okay, today I'm going to give you a little video lesson on what to look for when you're creating your videos and how to create them so we can get the most out of your video. So the first thing we do is when you're at full draw,
you want to be standing up straight. So you want to have a view so that you can see from your front hand clear to your back hand. So as you come up and you draw, and you get to your anchor point, make sure this hand is nice and loose. This hand here is where it's supposed to be. And then just curl and then shoot. Okay? Now, the next thing we want to do is, if you can't see it real good in the camera, you want to take a look at it and have a view of the front hand so we can see what the front hand is doing. So what we're going to do is move the camera over to watch the front hand as you're doing this. So we're going to draw back and see what this front hand's doing. It's nice and relaxed. Now you notice it didn't grab the bow, it jumped forward. The older bows will jump forward, the new ones don't jump forward like that. So now the other thing we want to watch is watch the hand that you're releasing from. Turn my arrow. Haven't shot this one yet. So now, going to watch the release hand to see what that does. Okay? Now, this hand's all nice and relaxed, and pull.
Now, if you notice where the trigger was and which joint it was, because that allows you to pull through and not have be tempted to pull the trigger. If it's out by the tip or the first knuckle, you have a tendency to pull the trigger. So that's something you want to look at too when you're setting up your release. I do have a video that I did on this a while back that actually goes over that.
Okay? Now, the other thing we want to look at is from behind. So what we're going to do is I'm going to move up a little bit forward so we can take a good picture from behind and see what this hand is, because we want to have a nice alignment between the arrow, the target, and the elbow, and these be in a straight line, as well as the hand through both shoulders. And you're going to see that from looking from behind as well as from the back. So now what we're going to do is going to watch from behind. So now we're come up and draw, and I want to see from behind.
Now, if you notice on this one, those that are listening, but you took a look at my elbow through my hand, it's a straight line to the tip of the arrow. So that's all in a straight line. If your elbow's back, you're probably a little bit too long a draw length. And if it's leaning forward towards the front, it's probably a little bit too short of a draw length.
Well, this arm is up. Okay? Well, that's from behind.
Now in this view, we're seeing from the back, you can watch the back as you're pulling through, it tightens up. You want to make sure that you're nice and tight on that one. So let me go ahead and stop sharing the screen. Don't look at me standing there. So that's kind of the video I put together. What the one view that I did not show that would be really helpful is like from above, like from a drone shot, where you can look at the top, you can see all that alignment, you can watch what your hand's doing, because that hand should jump towards your target. If it's not going towards your target, that's something we want to look for. And that's just some of the things. And if you would like, go ahead and take a video. Let's take a look at your video and let's look at some forms. And we can all learn from a form. If you're having a problem with something and you solved it, you know what? Somebody else is having the same problem. If you're doing something and you're doing something one way and I'm struggling with something a little bit different way, I want to look at your form and then see how you're doing. So take a look at what you're doing in your form. You want to video enough times that you can see, are you doing it consistently every time? Do you anchor to the same point every time? Now I use a kisser button into my nose and the peep, so that all lines up. In this video, I use the wrist strap. I also have a handheld that I shoot a lot of times, and it just my hand anchors a little different spot, but the string alignment to my face and the bow never changes. So that's one of the things you can look at when you're taking these videos is go through and figure out what you're doing. Are you doing it consistently? Now, if you want to do something a little bit different, as long as you do it the same every time, you're going to get the same results. That's the key is the bow will shoot the same every time. It's going to send that same arrow in the same hole every time. If it doesn't, it's because there's something wrong with the shooting machine, which if you have a mechanical machine, it shoots the same every time. But if you're the machine, you're not going to shoot exactly the same way each time. Those that do start getting really good scores. So take a look and let's see what your scores are. Do some shooting and see what kind of groups you're getting. And then take a video of yourself shooting and upload it to the group. We're going to take a look at it. Now, if you're listening on YouTube, go ahead and message me on YouTube and we'll take a look at your video as well. If you're on Audible, then get a hold of me there, make a comment or something, get a hold of me and upload it. I'd like to take a look at some of your forms and see what you're doing. And if you'd like, a feedback on there, just when you upload it, just say, hey, I want some feedback, give me some ideas or pointers, or what would you suggest? And then we'll take a look at it. And, when I look at it, I'll make comments on it. And, if you uh, like the comment, follow it. If you don't like the comment, well, what is it you didn't like? Have you tried that and you struggled with it? Just that's what we're here for, is to help you learn and make you better and better archer. Because that, after all, that's what we want to do, is we want to get the best shot as we can. And, that's kind of why I call it Archery Talk 101. What's the beginning class in archery? Uh, be 101. What's when you go to college, your first class, what's it called? Normally 101, or the second one is 102, or then you get to the next level is might be 201 or something. So, that's why I called it that, because we're here to develop your skills. And, like the tagline says up here, Arch Truck 101, your guide to better archery skills, because that's what we're here for. And that's why there is, I interview different archers all over the world, because everybody has a different idea. Some ideas, I like their ideas. We all learn from each other, and that's what we're here for. So let's just go out and take a look at what is going on in our archery shooting, and let's do some shooting, take some videos, and see how we're going. There's some things that we can do to fix things. You can also look at the way the bow reacts when you shoot. Now, if you notice in this video, for those who are watching, when I shot, the bow kicked up, which means I need to do a little bit different in weight. I have just a little bitty weight on there. I really never really paid much attention to it, because when it sits my hand, it balances. But I noticed in the video, when I started videoing, that the bow actually, the bottom limb kicks up. So I'll need to maybe put a little bit more weight on the front to help it drop down so it sits more level in my hand. Or maybe, one of the things you can do is you can actually tweak the limbs just a little bit. Maybe, crank the lower limb a little bit less power. All that's things that you can play around with, and you won't know that unless you shoot. So when I get ready to do some testing on this, I'll try a different stabilizer and see how it reacts, and then try a different stabilizer and see how it reacts. And then you can try that. But if you're not doing it on a video, you don't really know. You might feel it hitting your wrist, the strap hitting your wrist. You might not. So if I can get that to sit more level in my hand, or when I shoot, because it sits pretty level in my hand, when I'm just holding it. But when I'm shooting, we notice it's kicking up. So that's some of the things you can look for. You can also look for, what is your front hand doing? Are you shooting and grabbing it right away? That's stuff that you can look at. You may not realize you're doing it, but the video will tell you. The other thing, when you're releasing, are you pulling that trigger? If you're pulling that trigger, then what I tell all of my new archers there, that you cannot do two fine motor skills at a time. It's like taking your fingers and have one going in and out, and going up and down. And yeah, I can't do it, because especially when I'm talking. but or pat your head, rubbing your tummy. If you practice enough, you can kind of learn how to do it, but it doesn't come natural. And then if you practice, with your right hand on your head and then switch, it's different. So you can't do two fine motor skills at one time. And aiming is a fine motor skill. So while you're pulling the trigger, or you're thinking about pulling the trigger, what do you stop doing? You stop aiming. So to try this out, take a look at an object a long ways away, not a long ways away, but far enough away, you can focus on that and don't break your focus. And now with in your full draw, you don't have to be actually drawing a bow. Put your finger up, hold it up, and now concentrate on that spot and make your finger without thinking about moving it. You have to think about moving that finger while you're doing it. You can't concentrate and move. You got to think about the finger moving. Once you think about the finger moving, what did you stop doing? So while you're pulling that trigger, what are you not doing? You're not aiming. If you're not aiming, what are you going to hit? You don't know. So that's why you want to get your finger all the way on that trigger and use the back muscles, because those are big muscles. They don't take fine motor skills. Once you start your draw, you can draw it. You don't have to worry about concentrating on your draw process. And you don't know when it goes off. That was one of the first things I had to understand is you don't know when the ball's going to go off, but you don't really care. So that's kind of been it for this one. It's going to be a little short one today. I just want to get that out there for those that want to take some videos. Coming up, we have some more interviews. We have another one coming up here a little bit later today. I'll record another one, so we'll get that out here, and then to have more lessons coming up. I have another lesson coming up on how to, easy way to set your sight and other things like that. So I've got some other stuff coming up that we'll put in here. I'm gonna try and get some more instructional stuff in the podcasts, so that we can learn as well as we're going on. And if there's anything else you want me to cover, just comment. We can cover something else. If I don't know it, you know what? I think there's other experts out there that we can get a hold of to come in and give us some information. So that's kind of about it. Remember, join the Archery Talk 1 on Facebook group, upload your video. Let's take a look at your videos and see how your shooting is going. And maybe we'll have some comments for you. Maybe we'll say, I can't fix anything. Everything's perfect. But that's what we're all working for. We're not going to get it, but that's what we're working for. And thanks for watching and listening. Remember, on Audible and Spotify is a place you can listen to it while you're driving, because I don't want you listening or watching it while you're driving. That's always nice. I like to listen to podcasts while I'm driving, because it'll be something else to do instead of listening to the radio. And it's always good to do something like that. So once again, thanks for watching and listening. My name is Roy Canterbury, and I've been the host of the Archery Talk 101, and we'll see you on the next one.